in. So let's go ahead and get started. First off, for those of y'all who are religious attendees of the tech tools that Todd Smith hosts, Allie and I are hijacking this month's tech tools, excuse me. So if you're here for how-tos or introductions into different tools that Center has inside of your operation or your business, this is definitely going to be a fun, different twist on what that tech tools meeting looks like. Todd, you're with us as always. Thank you for being here to host with us.
Thanks for having me, James.
Yeah, to your own show. I love it.
/ taking over the show today.
Yeah. As always, Todd and I both really want y'all to be as lively as you can in the chat. If y'all have questions, concerns, comments about anything going on with what we're doing at a housekeeping level, we'll make sure the audio is right, that you can see our screen. But at more of an engagement level, we want to know what you guys have been doing with Copilot, with agent building, even if it's outside of Copilot. How are you starting to adopt AI within your business? We're going to dig deep into that today, and so I'm excited that we get a special guest outside of Center's walls to come in and make sure that our clients are getting the most up-to-date information and really driving Copilot and AI in a safe and positive manner. So with that, I want to introduce Mike Davies. He is a Microsoft modern work and cybersecurity expert with SureWeb. SureWeb's our biggest and sole Microsoft partner. So the things that we do within Microsoft for helping out with implementations or with support, if we were to ever run into an escalation that we couldn't help ourselves, then SureWeb comes in and gives us assistance. Mike works with them. Mike, you're coming all the way from Canada?
Yeah, that's correct. I'm in Toronto, so if I say process or process wrong, now you know why.
I'd say, Mike, honestly, we should put it out to the chat. If y'all hear any good Canadian whiz bang lingo, throw it in the chat. Let us know you got onto that, just to call them out a bit. Mike, thanks for doing this with us. I know this isn't part of your typical day-to-day job. This should be fun and different, though.
Yeah, absolutely. This is going to be great. We're going to get into agents, when they should be used, how to build them. We're going to touch on all of it today, so it's going to be exciting.
Yeah. Mike, I feel like before we jump in, I want to acknowledge that there has to be a bit of a flooding of the market of AI marketing events. I believe everyone's got one on the calendar of how you can use AI to better any department or your daily life, or how to make an assistant do your job for you, or how AI is taking jobs away. Today's unique because today we're actually going to pull back the covers a bit and show the clicks. What does it take to build something? And so I know you got a little bit of an introduction to get everybody on the same page, and then we're going to start digging into Studio today. Is that right?
Yeah, that's exactly it. We're going to talk about Copilot Studio, both the light version and the full version. So we're going to get into both elements, and I'll explain the difference between the two of them.
Nice. And then those events that I've attended around AI are typically it's how far can you stretch your imagination of what AI can do for you. We're hoping that many of you on the call today have already put some thought into how you would like to see AI improve your business. And as we build out an agent live with you today, or start looking at those demos, if you have questions on how your vision can become a reality, we want to be able to assist you with that. So by putting something in the chat, by asking a question, you can do that just to have some fun with what we're engaged with, or you can set up time to work with Center on the fly. So Allie, as always, is with us as our producer in today's event. She will be manning the chat and making sure that your questions are heard. If something comes up and you want to throw it in there, expect to see Allie's comments back at you, and then we'll make sure that it's addressed. If it's something for the future, expect her to be working behind the scenes to make sure that you're being reached out to so that we can schedule time to talk. So Mike, I don't even know specifically where you want to begin on a topic as broad as this. So do you want to just jump right in on slide one and let's start building it out?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's get right into the agenda, what we're going to cover here. We're going to do a little bit of light presentation slide work before we get into a demo, because that's where everybody's going to come forward with their questions and really wants to see the tool in action. So
sure.
Let's get started, kind of setting everybody to the same level, get an understanding of where Microsoft is in terms of their AI offering for both personal productivity and agents. And I'll get into that right now. So Microsoft's idea here is they want to empower everybody with AI across the planet, empower every organization. So there's kind of two different frames to that, and I just mentioned them being personal productivity and business value. So personal productivity is going to be how you use your instance of Copilot, how you use AI to help save yourself time, be more efficient, increase productivity, increase your creativity. And then the kind of more advanced version of that or step two is business value. So how do you leverage AI within your business processes and get to the point where you have AI integrated into your business workflows. So that's kind of the two different realms, and one of them will focus on Microsoft 365 Copilot. So that's the personal productivity side, your AI assistant throughout your day. And what that looks like is the Copilot chat functionality, the ability to use Copilot to query against your business data or your web data. This is the thing that people typically think of when they think of AI is that kind of chat GPT version. This is Microsoft's version of chat GPT. So you can use this in multiple interfaces. It exists within your Microsoft 365 applications. And then Copilot Studio is the agent builder portion of Microsoft 365 Copilot. So this is where you can create, design, and build agents that perform specific functions. So,
hey, Mike, outside of IT people, the tech folks on the call, are most end users, are they starting to touch just the beginning part, the Copilot chat, or are you seeing a lot of end users that are moving up this rank?
I would say
non-technical.
Yeah, non-technical business users, Copilot chat, absolutely. And then in the uses embedded within your 365 applications is a pretty good one. So that I see a lot of AI note takers in this meeting. So people are clearly familiar with getting AI notes. That's a part of what Copilot can do. Using it to summarize emails or generate Word or PowerPoint documents. All of that kind of fits within that end user realm in these first two. And then when we get into kind of the IT professional or developer type world, that's where Copilot Studio, agents, and then adoption and measuring how well Copilot's being used comes into play.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. So the things that kind of set Copilot apart is going to be the focus on the personal productivity where it interacts. So everybody's day-to-day interactions with IT is going to be within their productivity applications. I'm using Outlook, I'm using Teams, I'm using Excel, and Microsoft is bringing AI to where you're already working. So rather than needing to go somewhere else to start leveraging AI or bringing your business data to another platform, Copilot for 365 brings the AI to where you're already working. They want to make it as seamless and easy as possible. And that's where the Microsoft 365 Copilot instance comes about. So one of the major benefits of Copilot is going to be the security that they wrap around it. So Microsoft has done a lot to position themselves as the most secure version of AI that you can utilize within your business environment. And they've got a lot of commitments and tools. Copilot itself does not come with any net new security features. What it does do is it keeps all your existing security that you have within your Microsoft environment and applies the same policies, the same protections to your use of AI when utilizing Copilot. So what does that really mean? It means that you've got a model that is not training, or your use of Copilot is not training the foundational model. It is not training, the business next to you is not going to be able to see what you've put in or try and use the model to understand what you've done in your niche industry. Everything that you put in to Microsoft Copilot stays within your Microsoft borders. It doesn't go anywhere else. It doesn't train the model by any means. And then you've got control of your data. So who you decide who gets access to what within your Microsoft environment. You set permissions and who has access to what data, and Copilot is going to adhere to that. So it is going to ensure that an intern can't, it's not going to give an intern access to HR files just because it asked Copilot for it. Only if you gave them access to it.
I've tried. I had no idea how locked down I was at Center. And I've come to find out Todd's actually the owner of those admin credentials. And so I can't get access to anything.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Like I can use Copilot to query against all sorts of stuff, my calendar, my emails, files that I have access to on SharePoint, but I'm not getting access to my colleagues' OneDrive accounts through Copilot. It does a lot of permission checks as you ask for things. Make sure you're not getting data you shouldn't see. So, they've got a lot of great things. So encryption for your data, both at rest and in transit, a lot of good security features. The way that Microsoft does that, they'll also do it by bringing in data security. So Microsoft Purview helps with data security. What that means is you've got the ability to understand what data is sensitive and apply security policies at the data level, not just at the person level or at the endpoint level, like your computer. Everybody can protect those, but Microsoft does an excellent job of protecting the data that comes into Copilot and comes out of it so that you can apply proper policies to each of them. With that, there are a few different versions of Copilot.
Mike, I did have a question on that real quick. I find that 95% of our businesses that we support are on Microsoft platform. I bet you there's only 2 or 3 that are like delving into Purview. In the SureWeb walls, are y'all seeing Purview grow dramatically, or is it still kind of a hit or miss?
It is. I'm seeing a tremendous amount of ramp up in terms of training and what it can do, and trying to get an understanding of data security. Yep. It's typically when I see that, we're in a 3-month lag, and then all of a sudden it kicks off and everybody wants
everybody needed to secure the network, then they needed to secure the identities, and now they're looking at how can I secure the data?
Yeah, exactly. And the part of that is with Purview, you can assign sensitivity labels to data. So you could say anything that sits with HR, anything that's an employee file, anything that's got credit card information is going to be marked as internal use only. And so when you put that high security internal use only tag on it, it means when an employee goes to send that out via email, they're going to get stopped. The person that they're sending it to is not going to be able to access it because they don't have the right email address to be able to get access to that file. And you can do things like preventing downloading from cloud sites, all sorts of really sophisticated ways of preventing that data from coming out. And when Copilot uses that information as a source to create content, it will take the highest level of security that it's sourced from and apply that to the new content. So if it creates a document based on an employee file, it's going to see, oh, that was an internal use only file. Anything that I generate is going to be internal use only from that. that Copilot interaction.
Makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sounds really important, but I don't think everyone knows that that's part of the evolution of securing AI for your business.
Yeah, I like to start with that because it's a big winning feature of Copilot, and it is not something everybody else can do in the marketplace when it comes to AI. One thing that I just want to highlight here is the Microsoft business SKUs or Copilot business SKUs that have come out. So for any organization that has sub 300 users, uses that Microsoft Business Basic, Standard, or Premium SKU, Microsoft has launched a new Copilot business SKU that has the exact same functionality as the enterprise one, but it's at a lower cost point. So you can see here, there's even bundles that include both SKUs here. But I just wanted to make sure that that was, users are aware of that. They've priced this so it's more comparable for the SMB market as opposed to the enterprise version. Now, let's get into agents, and we'll talk a little bit about how agents are designed at a high level, and then we'll get into the demo quickly here. So Copilot is still going to be that interaction, the interface that you leverage agents from. So that Copilot window where you use chat, you're going to see agents in there. Copilot Studio is still going to be able to use all the same data sets if you wish. You can do a lot of really powerful things with them. You'll still interact with that user interface of Copilot. Copilot Studio is where you build and create the agents. So it's not something that everybody in your organization needs access to. It's really going to be set for those that can create and have a technical knowledge in creating agents from that perspective. And then I like to show this because there's really a difference here in when you would use one versus the other and how they function. So Microsoft 365 being your AI assistant is great for user-driven interactions, understanding your particular context, helping you do particular things like writing or summarizing, analyzing data. That's all great use cases for your instance of Copilot. Agents are going to be things that can pull in external data sources really easily, allows you to augment workflows that AI can then be involved in. So if you've got something that you and your team are doing on a consistent basis, that's a great use case for an agent. If I'm constantly doing RFP responses, for example, and I have a team of people that are doing RFP responses, I want consistent output from an AI agent. That's a great use case for an agent. That way I know I'm going to get a consistent feel, and really it saves me from trying to put in all the context that I need to. So if I was to say, I want to respond to this RFP, I don't have to go in and say, here's all my services that I offer today, and here's all the certifications I have, and so on and so forth. Every time I want to do that, I can do that once with an agent, and then it keeps all of that context and the instructions of what I want it to do, and then it'll give me a consistent feel, and it'll give you the same thing, James, if we were to share that agent together on the same team.
Yeah, man, sharing agents has been like my most exciting and most frustrating component lately. So that's interesting. You just brought that up that way.
Yeah. There's a bunch of different types of agents. So there's three major ones, going from simplest to most complex. Retrieval of information is the easiest one. So point it at, let's say, HR document and say, this is our HR policy manual. I would like people to be able to ask it questions to alleviate some of the burden on my HR representatives answering the same questions again and again, like what's my holiday schedule, who is our benefits provider, how do I register for benefits, those kind of things. That's in its simplest form. Next would be asking it to take action. So in that RFP scenario that I mentioned, that would fall into task base because I would like it to create a draft RFP response. So it's actually going to go out and create a document for me. And then third would be autonomous. So this one is going to operate independently based on a trigger that I set for it. So let's say that is an email coming from a particular person, or a task gets completed in Microsoft Planner. I can have the agent look for that trigger and then start acting on its own. I don't have to have a hand on the wheel. I don't have to start that process. The autonomous agent is going and looking for it. And you can see the first two are generally available. The autonomous one is in preview right now.
I love that you have it in that form. That's the first time I started getting out of just doing an alternative to Google searches. I would use Copilot to get better information, right? I started getting into the retrieval, and retrieval is what's kind of opening my mind personally into what else I can build or do. Whereas before I had a really tough time figuring out what would I build an agent to even start with.
Yeah. It's really, there's a lot of tool sets, and it can be overwhelming to think, what could I even build an agent for? What could I have it do? And finding those scenarios are important. Leveraging your team and trying to leverage your greater organization to generate those scenarios and use cases is really important. I know I'm constantly learning from my teammates another use case that they've tried. It's always interesting to hear and see what others are utilizing. Microsoft has an excellent platform for this, and we're going to get into it. But one of the major reasons,
Mike, that was such a good segue. That was too good. We're going to throw you off. We got questions. They're starting to pile up. So Allie,
we are going to throw you off really quick, but that was
a
fantastic segue. We have a question from the chat from Ben Huffman. Todd kind of answered him a little bit. We would love to get your perspective. The question is, does a company need to adopt OneDrive or SharePoint to realize the benefits of Copilot for generative purposes? Can it train on data on other storage systems?
It can train on other external sources outside of Microsoft 365, but it takes a bit of work to get it there. So what you need is the ability to pull it in to a particular agent. Your individual kind of like Dropbox account, it's not going to be able to pick that up when just using Copilot, your Copilot instance. And but you could bring in that data set into the Microsoft graph, or what Microsoft has access to be able to query against it with agents. So SharePoint is definitely easier. It's just going to natively know what you have access to in SharePoint, be able to query against anything that lives within the Microsoft environment today.
Hope that answered your question, Ben.
I think we got more than that. Can we hit on it was RFB accounting. I'm sorry, I don't have a name for you. We need an agent to help us find files in our too complicated file system. I'm finding I need to go further than what the Copilot agents, like chat, I'm guessing, are able to handle. Have you run into that, Mike?
Interesting. I'm finding files isn't typically something that I've used it for. Finding the answer to the question that lives in those files is something that Copilot should be excellent at. So
I've actually used it to find files across OneDrive, SharePoint, and email content really well. But if you're referring to data stored on like a local file server, that it can help with, but it requires a lot of work in order to, well, not a lot of work, but out of the box, you have to create a connector to it or project to migrate that data to Azure or to SharePoint.
Yeah. When we get to the demo portion, remind me to show off the search tool set that comes within 365, because I do a lot of presentations and I can ask Copilot to find me the slide that has this information on it within the 150 PowerPoint presentations that I might have saved in my OneDrive. So that's got a really great search functionality that you can leverage for things like that.
Mike, Peter wants to know how Power Automate fits into the equation.
Yeah, it is a tool set that is being leveraged heavily within agents for anything that is task-based or anything that's going to have some level of automation to it. So the two tools end up bleeding together almost seamlessly. Now within the Copilot Studio environment, you have a preview function that is with natural language, write an automated workflow. And so what we're seeing is almost the transition of Power Automate into an AI interface at the front end, and then getting back, hopefully, the idea is you'll get back the same level of sophistication without having to have the expertise to need to know Power Automate.
Okay, so let's get back at. We need to get to the demo portion. I don't want to lose all of our time, but we do have questions from Sophia, Ginger, and others. Guys, we're not going to lose track of your questions. We'll keep answering on the chat, and if we miss something, we'll go back and make sure we get you an answer.
Yeah, absolutely. The last thing that I want to show off here is essentially that there is a tool set called Agent 365 for managing agents. So one of the things that organizations run through is they get excited about agents, they empower everybody to create them, and then you end up with 150 agents, and most of them do either the same thing, some of them don't work. You do have the control to manage who has access to what agents, what data sets they deal with, how they're being utilized, who's using them the most. You have a lot of insight and control from an IT perspective on managing agents. So I'll start with kind of that, and then I'm sure this presentation will be shared out. We have a lot of resources, scenario library, agent demo gallery. There is a ton of stuff that Microsoft has that can enable you to learn more. I know that Center is also going to be doing a little bit more of a hands-on secondary training in your local area to help upskill you as well. Is that fair?
That's good, Mike. Yeah, we're going to do a lunch and learn styled event in each of the Center territories. So all 5 of our office spaces. Those are coming up between now and first half of February, where we're going to actually ask that y'all bring laptops and kind of build these out with us and work through it. So this is great. Let's keep it going, Mike.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's get into the demo portion here. So I'm just stopping my screen share for 1 second as I make sure I've got the right screen up here.
Good job double checking. We don't want another one of those incidents, Mike.
Yeah, it's that'd be the end of me. All right, so let's get started here. So right now you're looking at my Microsoft 365 Copilot instance. So this is my desktop app where I leverage Copilot on a daily basis. Here I have access to my work side. So as a licensed user, I can interact with things and say, look, I've got what's the latest from one of my colleagues, or what is how am I interacting with others? Lots of great prompts that I can put in here, but today we want to focus on agents. So you can see here there are a bunch of agents that I already have access to. Anything that says Frontier on it is the new term for Microsoft's preview version. So if you see Frontier, that means this is a preview agent, beta agent. It might work. They might develop it. They might not. So caution when using anything that says Frontier. They might work great, but Microsoft might can it tomorrow. So I caution you there a little bit. But there are a couple of agents that Microsoft has pre-canned out of the box they've created for you. So Researcher is a great one that will be used for deep research. So things that you can use it for. I use it for lots of things. It takes a little bit longer. It interacts with you in terms of its responses. So it could take 5 minutes of kind of going over data to get you a true response. I use it for multi-step instances. It's a great tool set. Analyst, on the other hand, I don't use this frequently because my role doesn't require it. But this is a great one if you've got spreadsheets and you need it to do data analysis for you. That Analyst is kind of a great pre-canned one here. You can see here, I'm asking it about some roadshows, which are events that I run for SureWeb. It tells me all about the events. It asks me a few questions about it. What do you want to understand and focus on? I give it an answer, and then it gives me a pretty great report on how my last event went. Great, I did an event in Redmond at the Microsoft headquarters. I got a 9.2 in terms of satisfaction for those that attended. And you can see here, all these little bubbles here are the sources that it's pulling from. So if you ever want to double check, you want to get an understanding of where it's pulling its information from, I can click on any of these things. You can see here, it's pulling from PowerPoint, it's pulling from emails, it's pulling from all sorts of information throughout my environment, everything that I have access to.
I love that you have access to. Like, I have access to invoices that go out from customers, but I got no information on their payments, their history of how they're, like, the frequency of their payment, what they're past due on. So without access to that, my questions can only be on what we've sent them, not what they've paid us.
Yeah.
If I was doing, say, a search on a customer's health. So that's a great point, Mike. You only get a snippet of the data of the real full picture unless you have access to exactly what you need.
Exactly. So I'm gonna create an agent here. So when you use your Copilot 365, either desktop or web version, and you go click on create an agent, like let's say I want to get started, I want to create an agent. This is the Copilot Lite experience. So you need to go to Copilot Studio to get the full experience. I'm going to show you quickly the Lite experience and what that looks like. But this is something that individuals, end users can leverage. They can.
Everyone should start here. Everyone
yes,
should start here before they go into Studio. This is
exactly.
We would never recommend going into Studio before checking out what's already available to you in template here.
Yeah, starting first from here is a tough one. Starting in Studio is a tough one. This is a great place to start. Oh, I've lost my screen there for a second. I had it. There we go. All right. So this is kind of the configuration page of creating an agent. You can see here that it's giving me the ability to create a name, description, but instructions is really the bulk of what I want an agent to do. So describe and tell it exactly what I would like to do. I can choose what knowledge sources I want that agent to interact with. And it is better to have a more refined knowledge source, putting it towards everything within SharePoint, or saying search all websites is going to lead you to less specific results. if you're creating agents, I would say start with smaller knowledge sources and build out as needed. Having multiple knowledge sources will dilute your results. I'm seeing a couple questions that came in there. Can it be a OneDrive environment? Was that one of the questions that I just saw kind of pop up?
Yes.
Here. Yes, you could put it to your individual OneDrive. You couldn't put it to someone else's OneDrive environment. You could put it to a SharePoint site, but you're not. You wouldn't put it to something that you don't have access to, because it's really going to focus. It's only going to return things that you have access to. One thing I'll show, there are templates that you can use. So if you want to start with interview question assistant, for example, let's just start with that, and you'll see the level of interview questions that it has here and the different level of instructions that it's coming with.
On the chat, Mike, we're getting people's note takers. I guess some people may have fallen off, and their note takers are letting us know what we're talking about. It's my stupidness that I'm reading half of it before I realize it's not a question.
Yeah, it is interesting. You've got the ability here to also say, can I leverage this agent within my productivity applications? And then you've got starter prompts. So that's kind of the extent of the ability to use it within a Copilot Studio Lite. You can see here the templates come with a ton of instructions. So it is going to give me a lot of instructions. Now I have generate technical questions, behavioral questions, starter prompts here. Now I have a fully flushed agent that I can start from. This is a great way to get started with an agent. Find one that's similar to what you're looking for and go from there. You can share these as well. So if you publish, you can share these agents with individuals. They're not going to be discoverable by the organization, but you can share them. You can share them with others. So that's if I wanted to create an agent here and share it with a teammate, I could.
I really like how you word that, Mike. Like for everybody on the call, like if you made something that you thought, like you mentioned handbook, Mike, like what are our corporate holidays? Everyone's going to use this. This is not the place to build it. This is for individual use. It has the same power, but it's not something we're spreading across everyone.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not going to be necessarily, it's not like you could go to all agents here or library and try and find it. I can't find something that you've made unless you share a link with me and I add it. I'm not going to be able to find that. There is ways to do that, and you would use the full Copilot environment for that. So I wanted to just touch on that, but for end users, this is a great way to start with agents. This is a really good way to help you get going. This is the configuration section. Only in Copilot Studio Lite can you use Copilot to help you generate that agent. So you can use natural language to say, I'd like to create an agent for interview questions. Help me create an interview question assistant agent. And then it will go through and determine that kind of thing. So I'll stop there for Copilot Studio Lite. Let me know if there were any questions specific to that one, and then I'm going to get into.
Let's jump into Studio, man. I think we're good on some of this Q&A. We got some very specific application questions. We're doing a little research on our end on those, and then we got some good advice coming through. One of the guys, Jesper, he threw it out there that you want to be very narrow and super focused on your first agent to make sure that you're getting what you want out of it. There's actually a prompt coach pre-built template and Agent Builder. If you go into the same spot that Mike was in, that you can find, it'll teach you kind of how to, if you give it the idea in layman's terms, here's what I want to accomplish. It'll teach you how to prompt it. It'll give you a copy and paste. You can get started quicker.
Yeah, it is a great tool. I love the prompt coach. So
yeah.
I've gone to copilotstudio.microsoft.com. This is where you're going to build fully flushed out agents with the full capabilities. You come into the home screen, and I have either create a workflow, create an agent from scratch, or I can use large language model, natural language to build my agent. So I can start prompting here and saying, here's the thing that I want. You can also see there is the same way to do that with workflow. So this is going to be creating powerful automations using natural language. And this I have found is part of the preview mode. I have not seen this function as well as I would like yet. So I'm going to focus on the agent portion. It is coming. This is a fairly new feature, but just want to give
Mike, you may need to share your screen.
Oh, do I? Oh, I still got the red bar up there. Interesting. Hold on. Let me.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I think it's still stuck on the PowerPoint. I think I'm just gonna stop sharing and reshare.
Okay.
Hey, while you're resharing, we did get one. Todd, you can chime in on chat if you want, or Mike, you can address it. But Alan said he has create, not. He said, I'll read it exactly. I don't have create agent. I just have create. Is that totally different?
If you have create, that's an interesting one. I actually haven't seen just create. If you are missing the create agent feature, usually that means you don't have the Copilot license, the user license.
Yeah, that means you just have the chat. So you can create documents and images. You would need the full Copilot for Microsoft 365 or equivalent license, and then you can see the agents where you can create agents.
Yeah,
and
correct.
Todd, Woody said the same thing. So I think Woody, I'm confident, has a license. You might want to double check on his.
I'll check.
Yeah, we can take a look at that. So I've created a few different agents for demo purposes here, and I'll show one of them off here so you can get an understanding of the different tool sets and what's included. But there is a really robust feature set that sits within Copilot Studio for creating agents. And I've created one for a Microsoft certification exam prep. So I do this to help myself get ready for Microsoft exams that I need to go take. So this is something that not just used by myself, but my entire organization is Microsoft focused. So we need lots of certifications. Lots of people need help getting prepared for them. And with that, I created an agent and then shared it out with the team. And the purpose of this agent is to test me on Microsoft knowledge. So I have added a couple things. So as the instructions load here that you can see, I have added these tools. So tools are the ability for a Copilot agent to do something, go get specific knowledge. Tools can range from internal Microsoft programs. And this is where you will see connectors to the outside world. So things that might exist beyond your M365 environment. And this is what gives the agent the ability to do something, take an action, create a document, work with a third-party tool set. So I'm using Microsoft Learn Documents MPC server, which is Model Context Protocol, which essentially means I'm giving it permission to take action and retrieve specific information or create specific content. So if I wanted it to generate an email, if I wanted it to go in and read specific emails, I could do that by using the Office Outlook tool, and I would go in and add the specific things. Great, I want it to draft an email message. I would like it to flag emails. There's a lot of different actions that you can get it to take. And all of that falls within the tools section of how do you get it to actually take some action. So my instructions here that I've included, as you can see, are create an agent that tests me, generates multiple choice questions on Microsoft certifications, and provides me feedback on things I got wrong. So then provides me links to training materials. So this is a great thing for my organization that's going through this again and again. I have some starter prompts. You can see here, hello, I'm the exam prep coach. How can I help? I can interact with that now, but the only thing I've put in here is instructions and then added an appropriate tool. I've added it twice here just from a demo purpose, but is the appropriate tool. So this is a very simple agent that I've created in this circumstance. If I had a particular knowledge source, so the HR scenario that we talked about, HR manual, I would put the HR manual here in the knowledge source. And then from a tool set perspective, you have the ability to evaluate how things are going, if things go well or not well with your responses. So you can see how your agent's performing. You can also use this channels function. This is where you would push out your agent, publish it, and decide where it's going to live. So that's a really kind of like important one to touch on. You design your agent. Now, where do people use it? How do they discover it? How do they go and leverage it? And
this may sound obvious, but think of your if it's for your employees, how do they communicate already? In our office, it's all in Teams, and so we need our agents to be available for Q&A or prompting via Teams, and not like looking at your screen, not WhatsApp, not Slack.
Yeah. So, yeah, exactly. So I can go and publish this to Teams or within my Microsoft 365 Copilot app, and then it becomes discoverable should you be allowed to publish it. Let's say you've got the administrative ability to publish and approve applications within your organization, then it would be there for your team to go and discover it, use it, add it to their team's environment, and be able to chat with it. We have a lot of those that we use internally. I have one that one of my colleagues made that's a Microsoft licensing agent that goes and helps us understand how Microsoft licensing works. So we do the exact same thing. It operates as a person that I chat with. So I just have an ongoing chat with my licensing agent that I interact with on a daily basis. Anytime I've got questions or James stumps me, or in more likely Todd stumps me with a licensing question.
More likely. Wow. Hey, Mike, Jesper's throwing out some great tips. Like you're not wrong, Jesper. If you have pre-built manuals, standard operating procedures, things internally in like SharePoint that's shared inside your office, knowledge. So the second thing at the top, overview, and then knowledge. You can drop those in knowledge, and the agent will pull from that data specifically. You can even prompt it. How does that compare to other businesses? And it will search the internet for alternative methods, but it'll specify, here's what your company does, here's what others do, teach you along the way.
Yeah, and there's also things that you can do like topics. So we'll keep using that HR one, But right now we just have kind of some standard default topics for my agent. But let's say you're using an HR manual one and you want it to address sensitive matters. Let's say an employee comes with a sensitive matter and asks the agent, hey, how do I deal with workplace harassment or something along those lines? You can specify how that conversation goes. So anything that relates to HR harassment is going to recommend that they go speak with their HR professional or ping the HR person and say, we'd like to transfer this conversation over to a live person to handle this matter. Would you like to speak with this person? And it will tag that person in. So that's where you can design topics to have kind of more pre-scripted conversations on specific topics. I would say the less topics, the better. You don't want to create 400 topics because it will end up leading to confusion in its interactions. But this is where you can define that within an agent. I know we have scratched the surface and we are over time.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to add as we close, Mike, that what you're just starting to talk about, as y'all get more advanced, you can have multiple agents that are assisting each other. And in that triggers section, you can start getting to a point where when one has an outcome of X, the next one picks up and starts a new process. And so these are all things that are easily capable, but what we're finding right now in Center's Walls is that 95% of our customer base is not at the point of leveraging agent-to-agent triggers, and a lot of times not leveraging the topics. They're simply building out agents that are assisting them to move faster. For example, not searching through your manual for your handbook for what your corporate holidays are this year and how it's different from last year and looking at last year's, just prompting it and getting that back. Jesper, your question's been spot on, so I'm going to interrupt myself and just look at yours real quick. I know it's a little outside the scope of the session, but if privacy and security are key, you want to expand the agent capabilities, look for, perfect. So no doubt, every step of the way, like Center now has a process on if I build something and publish it, a committee has to review it and make sure we're not going to break the rules. I want to end on a quick anecdote. Everyone's going to jump in and start making these types of changes. Data's got to be clean. A lot of people, I think, look past this, but data's got to be clean. And one funny example to that, man, a lot's going on. Why are there so many bubbles now on my screen? One of the funniest examples that I've seen of that is that we did a handbook. We had a customer at least do a handbook agent the same way we're talking about, but they pointed it to SharePoint. Simultaneously, they had their HR team do an outsourced group, a new app that was going to assist them with a lot of their policies and procedures. And they hosted their most up-to-date information in the handbook on that app. It wasn't hosted locally. So when they started using it, it was pulling from an old handbook that sat in SharePoint. It wasn't pulling from the latest in their third-party app. And this caused a lot of confusion. So knowing where you're pulling from and confirming with department heads that it's the right place to get it is going to be critical to making sure that you don't end up stubbing your toe, having a false start out the gate, and missing the boat on your agent building. So if your company's brand new and you're a startup born in the cloud, you're not going to have this problem. But if you've been around for a bit, you got file servers, you got new SaaS applications, you want to try to bring that data together, you got to spend a little bit of time thinking about where does all that different data sit.
Yeah.
Another tip is to focus on instructions. So when you're building the app or the agent in Copilot Studio, don't focus so much on the topics, focus more on the instructions, as far as like guiding it of what the app or the agent should and should not do. That helps, I think, the most, more so than a bunch of different topics. Topics take priority over instructions. So you don't want to overdo it with topics. You want to focus on the instructions.
Yeah, exactly. I also maybe get into the over reliance on AI, but when I'm creating my agents, I go to my version of Copilot and say, I would like to create an agent about this. What instructions do you recommend? What contingencies do I need to be aware of? Help me design this agent.
All right.